Hi and welcome to SEO Hangouts with Josh Bachynski. That's me. SEO Hangouts is a SEO Hangout where I discuss SEO. And today, for you, I will be discussing Panda, how to fix Panda. Panda 4.1, Panda 4.0, Panda 4.2, it doesn't matter. All the pandas are based on quality signals, either directly tracked or indirectly tracked by on-page factors, or in my opinion, what they're doing now for 4.2 is click-based data, basically your task completion ratio, or what I'm calling QualityRank, based on kind of this is my name, QualityRank, but based kind of on a 2012 patent that was awarded, a Panda Patent. It was called the Panda Patent that was awarded to them in 2012 that talked about how that works. So I'm going to talk about how this all works. I'm going to go back to June for SMX Advanced, where Gary Iles, the new Matt Cutts, a Google employee who's a programmer for Google, who works in the Zurich office with John Mueller. He was directly interviewed by Danny Sullivan, and he gave some very interesting answers that are interesting now, seeing what they're doing with Panda. I'm going to read a little bit from the patent so you get an idea of where they're coming from, and then I'm going to fast forward to some things that John Mueller have said now. So let's go back to the patent here. If I can find it somewhere. Here we are. So back in May 13, Navneet Panda is a fellow, a guy, I believe he's East Indian, who works for Google. He's one of their top programmers, and he's the one that's why they call it the Panda algorithm, because it's not because they like furry, fuzzy bears that eat bamboo, and if you poke it, will kill you, because his last name is Panda. So that's why it's called the Panda Patent. And he filed a patent in 2012, which was after the first Panda, by the way. So this is the next iteration of Panda, the click-based one, in my opinion. And on May 13th, it was awarded to them. And here, I'll just read for you the abstract of what the Panda Patent was. Here's the abstract. This algorithm is based on, and here's the quote, the score that they're trying to look for is determined from quantities indicating user actions of seeking out and preferring particular sites and resources found in particular sites. So, user actions, preferring particular sites on their SERP, and the resources found at particular sites, clicking on particular resources in the site. Now, this is the interesting part. A site quality score for a particular site can be determined by computing a ratio that represents user interest in the site as reflected in user queries directed to the site, and a denominator that represents user interest in the resources found in the site as responses to queries of all kinds. So that's the patent. What does that mean? That means they have knowledge-based queries, people who want to know stuff, knowledge and or do queries, people who are in the middle of the sales funnel who are looking for herbal pills, maybe they want to know about it, maybe they want to buy it, or people who are at the end of the sales funnel, buy herbal pills now, Google, right? And those people will do different kind of tasks, right? People higher up in the sales funnel are going to read about it, think about it, close the tab, bookmark it maybe share it, maybe they'll comment positively on it. Those will be all good task completions, right? As long as they don't go back to the SERP and click anybody else. So whoever terminates that search, my testing shows, and I've done extensive black hat testing of this, it shows that the back button, at least a year ago when I tested it, the back button doesn't have any detrimental effect to those sites. It's whoever terminates the search gets the check mark, gets the win, right? And then by negation, everybody else who didn't get the check mark loses, right? So that's how that system works. And that makes sense because it's harder to negative SEO that, right? So it's based on clicking your resource in the SERP, go into the page, looking at the actual resources on the page. Remember, the same time Panda 4.2 came out, they also went crazy about you must unblock your CSS and JS so we can read it, and we'll give you errors in Webmaster Tools if the rendered version in Chrome doesn't look exactly the same as the rendered version in Googlebot. Remember that Googlebot knows what resources you have on a page. They've long had an algorithm determined to tell the difference between main content, side content, navigation, footer. Now they've even drilled down further to tell, checkout box, comments, likes or plus ones or social signals. Those are all tasks they can see and they can read and they can process. Anything the browser can see, they can see. So if you can see that people are commenting and liking it and plus oneing it and sharing it, they can see that, right? And they may not even see it from the social share side, although I believe they do. They might see it from the page action side. So that's how the patent works. That's directly from the patent. I didn't make that up. You can go read it. Now, let's fast forward till June, where Danny Sullivan interviewed Gary Illes from Google and asked him some very interesting questions. So, where is that? Blah, 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 blah. Going through my super secret notes of SEO knowledge. Okay, here we go. So, oh no. There we go. Okay, SMS Advanced, the Ask Me Anything with Gary Illes. It was in early June. Okay. So, first off, now this is before Panda 4.2. Gary Illes claims that Panda is still pushed and that the data is troublesome and sometimes there is quote unquote noise. But basically, he basically admits there's no noise in crawl data. It's what it's crawled or what it's not, right? Like, for example, I have the big leaked Google Panda list on my site, themoralconcept.net/pandalist.html. And that lists every single leaked quality factor that any Google employee, Miley Oye, Matt Cutts, John Mueller, Gary Illes, even more, the leaked quality raters guide, anyone who works for Google who has some kind of official Google stamp on them, poof, Google, only for it, poof. I collected them all for the past 3 years and made a list of them. Now, I believe the old Panda was directly using those factors to demote based on, 30% of your pages have X number percent of these factors, hit the whole site for Panda. This is not how the new Panda works, I don't think, but I mean, it could, so you still need to look at that list, and that's what, it's whether it's direct or indirect, it doesn't matter. Whether it's correlation, it doesn't matter, right? Because these are the factors, the reason why they're penalizing on those factors is because these are the factors that people found bad, like pop-up ads, interstitial ads. They recently just said, Gary Illes just admitted point blank, on Twitter that he would love to have a penalty, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, for interstitials. So when they're saying stuff like this, guys, you have to pay attention. You have to put two and two and two and two together to finally get a picture of what's going on. Or you just listen to me because that's what I do every day because I'm a nut. That's what I feel like watching Google sometimes. Yes, so this tells me that the noise has to be on click data, right? They've already admitted, John Mueller's admitted, Gary Illes has admitted that the noise when it comes to Panda and that like tracking SERP clicks, we don't do that because it's too noisy. And Panda, the new Panda coming out, Gary Illes says that this SMX Advanced is kind of noisy. So that's what they're talking about, right? You have to learn their lingo and learn what they're talking about. And don't trust what they say when they're directly asked. Because when they're directly asked, they have to lie. They have to lie. They can't tell you, like, this is, okay, imagine this is what happened. Hey, John Mueller, do you use social signals in your rankings? Yes, we do. Go out and get social signals. If he said that, like they did for links 10 years ago, everyone would go, they go buying social signals and it would spam it all up to hell and they couldn't rely on that signal anymore. So don't directly ask them. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell Danny Sullivan at this stupid conference where all the questions are sent to him ahead of time and he prefabs and they plan what the answer is going to be. And you can't even surprise him in a hangout, John Mueller in a hangout, because he's going to lie because that's what he's supposed to do. I saw the flip about a year ago when he used to tell kind of the truth, half-truths, and would speak in his lingo until he got in trouble and Pierre Farr came on a hangout and literally gave him the word slap, and he's all embarrassed, and poor John Mueller felt so bad for him. He looked so embarrassed. He was totally called on the carpet by this guy, and when he answered a question, Pierre Farr was like, you shouldn't even be answering that, blah, blah, blah. This is a dumb question. You can go back and watch the hangout. In fact, I have a reference for it here. I can find it for you if you want. But that was the moment where their public relations strategy switched. So, getting back to actionable tips you can use and not the philosophy of how to interpret Google and Google's PR agenda from now on. So, in my opinion, what's noisy, they've already mentioned and talked about, is internal bounce. So, like, let's say you go to the index page. Let's say you go to a SERP, you do a search, herbal pills. You click on a site, Josh's Herbal Pills. You go to the index page, you go, I want red herbal pills. You click red herbal pills, and then you go to the sales page and you make a sale. Bounce back, 3 hops, right? They're tracking, they've already talked about internal bounce and making sure you don't have any internal bounce, right? You don't want to go to the index page and they go to, that page sucks. They go back, that page sucks. They've already talked about don't have internal bounce like that. It's easy to find in your Google Analytics, the internal bounce. Just check user flow. If you don't know how to do that, just contact me and I'd happily show you. Now, so that's what's going to have noise. The SERP bounce is going to have noise. based on the knowledge query, no do query, or do query, right? The internal bounce is going to have noise. And I've done lots of experiments. Rand has done experiments. Rand Fishkin from SEO Moz, or now Moz, has done experiments where he's asked people on Twitter, hey guys, can you click this? And it's boosted the ranking within a few hours, right? If you guys didn't know that. So I know that they're tracking this for a fact, and I believe that they're probably going to use this as a factor for their task completion ratio, or what I'm calling quality rank in the new Panda. Now, what else did Gary Isles say? Now, he said, Danny Sullivan asked him about Penguin. He says they want to make Penguin real-time. They already admitted they want to make Panda real-time, and they've made Panda real-time, or quasi-real-time. The way a good friend of mine explained to me the way cloud computing works, it's not actually going to be processed in real time, like they can process each page as they crawl it. Well, at least that's what he claims. I don't see why they can't do that. That would be the logical way of doing it. But these after-market algorithms, so to speak, these after-the-fact algorithms which they apply after the fact, if they baked it into their actual process, they would be page at a time is processed, then site's processed, right? Page, look at the disavow, processing, and then the site's processed, and then it ranks it and it's pushed out to the data centers. That's, as I understand it, how it's worked for years. But these after the fact kind of algorithms, like how we think Panda's running now and how we think Penguin's running, like an adjustment, a filter after the fact, if that's how it's still running, which it doesn't have to be, they could just put it in the main algorithm, right? Although that would take a major rewrite. The last time they had a major rewrite of the basic algorithm was the Hummingbird algorithm, which was released June 2013. Before that was about 10 or 12 years where the whole algorithm was rewritten. The whole PageRank and whole ranking algorithm was rewritten by Amit Singhal, who is still currently the head of search, to my knowledge. We still don't know. Some people in the industry know. I'm not going to mention any names. But the general public still doesn't know who the head of web spam is. I know someone who does. And we, of course, know that a new fellow, Sundar Pichai, I think his last name. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his last name incorrectly, like he would ever watch this and give a shit. But just, I'm Canadian, so I have to apologize. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his last name incorrectly, but it's Sundar Pichai, or Pichai, something like that. He's the new CEO of Google, and as you may have heard, Google's been split off into a subsidiary company of the parent company, Alphabet, which is going to have all the different, like Google Cars, Google Medical, all those different companies under an umbrella company called Alphabet, which is now being run by Larry Page and Sergey Brin, essentially just leveled up. Bloop, we're going to run Alphabet now. Sundar, you run Google. And, whether Google's the company or Alphabet's the company, it makes absolutely no difference. It's only a move they're making because jackasses like me are making major film documentaries about Google and their nefarious ways, and the EU is suing them for $6 billion. And Matt Cutts told me personally that they're being sued by bunches of people. So this is the reason why they're doing that. In case you're wondering, Josh always has the inside scoop for you. So sorry, I drank a lot of coffee today. I'm a little wound up. I apologize. So he claims he wants to make Penguin real time. And so my best guess how that's going to work in a quasi real time or a cloud computing way is that if after they push it, on a fairly regular basis, if it's going to be baked in, then it's going to be processing links, check if disavowed. It's going to work finally like that. And then if you're over an X amount exact match query to exact match domain or exact match query on page to exact match query off page with some blog spam factors based on some logic based in there and some logic at the timeline and how it was built, right? If you've never built a spammy link before and all of a sudden there's spammy links, they're going to ignore those. That would be negative SEO, right? That we're already established that. But if you've done some spammy quotient links, a certain percentage, a certain Bayesian filter, statistics of that, and then you're doing it again and you go over, then they'll nail you. And so that could be worked into the direct algorithm, or that could be, it has to be aftermarket. They're going to process it in the PageRank algorithm as they process links, and then after the fact, Penguin filter is going to run. If over X percentage, not disavowed, then blah, hit them. So that's my best guess how that will work. How do you avoid that? Don't buy links anymore. That is so done. That is so dead. I know there's a lot of black hats out there who disagree with me. There's a lot of white hats out there who disagree with me. But I think the linking algorithms are so weak at this point. I think QualityRank is a much more powerful factor than PageRank. I have some experiments to prove it. If you want to check my SEO 2015 course, at around 32 minutes in, I show my example. It had 7 links last year when I ran the video in November. I made my 2015 video in November 2014 because I'm forecasting like 6 months ahead. I see what's coming, right? Which is not premature because it's going to take 3 to 6 months to rank anyway. So by the time you get in that environment, suddenly everything you've been doing is going to start working, right? Well, before everyone else knew it was working. So you're ahead of the game. That's kind of what you want to do. Anyway, so at about 32 minutes in on that video, the URL for that video is j.mp/josh2015. Again, that's j.mp/josh2015. About 32 minutes in, I show my site. I show all the statistics and all the rankings and whatnot. With like 7 links at that time, 1 link now in Webmaster Tools reported. Now it's called Search Console. And but lots of social signals and other kinds of off-page schema and stuff like that. And that site has like a huge quality rank because the task completion ratio was like 70%. Ho, see there you go. Now you see it's ranking page 1 for very competitive queries with 1 link in Webmaster Tools. It's doing that because of the quality rank and the off-page social proof. And when I say social, I mean social in the broadest sense. All the small little social sites, big social sites, etc. That's how I do SEO, and that's how I rank sites page 1. And I have dozens of sites, hundreds in fact, ranking page 1 if you include all my customers who listen to my advice and do these things. Now, so he also admitted, he said, just because we're not releasing Penguin yet, don't forget they already have ongoing spam, link spam, and ongoing quality algorithms according to John Mueller. So don't forget that. That's very important. That each of these phantom updates, these quality updates, again, these are them testing the SERP bounce, right? Which pretty clearly seems to be that. Rand Fishkin seems to have shown that they're running that, and that seems to be the show. Or it could very well be that one of the phantom updates, for example, seem to hit e-commerce sites even worse. This is them testing that on-page resource, in-page resource for this new Panda, right? If it doesn't have the right conversions, Matt Cutts told us in 2013, it's not a ranking factor yet, he said, at his second last SMX Advanced, Ask Me Anything, because of course Matt Cutts used to do it because Curios is the new Matt Cutts, as I said. Are you following? Are you paying attention? You might have to go back and listen again. Sorry, a lot of coffee. I said a lot of coffee. He said, Matt Cutts said, make sure you have autocomplete on all your forms. Why, Matt Cutts? Oh, I don't know, because, blah, blah, blah. Google does not tell you to do anything out of the kindness of their heart. They have no kindness in their heart. They are Machiavellian, oligarchic, I'm here for the money, F off company, right? That's who they are, that's what they're doing. They have been for years. So when he tells you to do something, it's because they're going to have a factor on it soon because it improves the user experience, because that's all he cares about is improving the user experience. And they're going to have a ranking factor for it soon so they can reward it. Otherwise, he wouldn't tell you to do it. Now, why would he waste his time? He's wasting money. Every time he's on the payroll opening his mouth, dollars are coming out. Google's paying him to say those things. So he's not going to just volunteer some happy information, right? That's just not, it's obvious. It's obvious. It's not the way it works. So this is how you read between the lines of what Google is saying. Now, so Gary Al's told Danny Sullivan they're still using Wikidata for structured data entries for your website and brand. John Mueller recently admitted that if your site is not quality, it doesn't have my word quality rank, but whenever he talks quality, I'm going to say quality rank because that's what he's talking about. If you don't have a high enough quality rank, your schema is not going to show up. If you do have a above average quality rank, maybe even like maybe a quality rank of, if a quality rank was like a page rank 1 to 10, maybe a quality rank of, I would say it's got to be 50 to 100% better than your competitors. Anyway, it's going to be half, double to 1.5 to 2 times how good your competitors are doing for it to show up. If you're trying to get your schema, if you're trying to get your knowledge panel to show up over WikiLeaks, or not WikiLeaks, sorry, Wikipedia, sorry. If you're trying to get your well, probably even WikiLeaks at this point, but you're trying to get your knowledge panel showing up over Wikipedia, good luck. That's never going to work, right? Although Wikipedia has shown a steady decline of traffic ever since they started rolling out these new quality updates, right? So again, do people really read Wikipedia? Do they care? No, it's too long and boring, so people don't read it. They go back, they bounce back, and they click something else that's faster that gives them the 5-second answer they want, right? Again, that's more proof that this is what they're doing, this is where they're going. Okay. Gary Isles denies, he says, and I quote, "We need signals that are stable long-term." So he denies that they're using Facebook likes, and then he admits later on they are using Facebook likes. Just wait for it. He says, to the best of his knowledge, they're not using Twitter signals. So that means they are. If he directly denies something when asked, or to the best of my knowledge, we're not, blah, blah, blah. Gary Isles is even easier to read than John Mueller, right? He's a straight shooter programmer, so he'll waffle. If he waffles on an answer, then yes, probably they're using something about it, something like that. Or if he denies it outright, like, no, that's stupid, we never do that. Then they're probably not, depending on what is asked, right? The context has to be there. Like if you asked them, should I buy links? If they directly ask them, should I buy links? Should I buy social shares? They'll say no. Of course, they have no choice but to say no, right? So whether or not using the social signals or not, I know that they are in some shape or form. I'm not sure how exactly. I fully admit I don't know how exactly. I don't know if they're tracking it. I know they have a Twitter algorithm because it updates. I have a big enough Twitter account, which is not that big actually, quite frankly. But I guess my clout score or something equivalent to a clout score is good enough. Like I follow very few people, but I have statistically a lot of followers based on the few people. They're not paid for, but they're actual followers. So there's actual interaction there. There's actual retweets and reshares, and I've always got that stuff kind of like that going on. So anyway, they in the Google SERP, if you search my name, they update that Twitter you see close to the top. 1, they know that's my main social thing. 2, they know that's my main active thing. 3, they know that that's how you should get a hold of me on Twitter because they know that's what I do. They watch all that. They have an algorithm to watch all that. So 4, it's based in, if they can get any ranking signals out of that, they're doing it. So it's more about what big names, what big influencers mention you. It's not about like a million different accounts, spam accounts that they can tell immediately are spam accounts. And yeah, they have an algorithm to tell spam accounts. Matt Cutts told me, he lamented it, that they have to write an algorithm to deal with Twitter spam. He hated it, but they had to do it. So sure, you can get like 1%, if you get 1% or 2% to sneak through, sure, if you have 50 million Twitter accounts, then 1%, 2% of that is still going to be a good signal, right? But if you're trying to do it on like 5 of your like fake Twitter accounts, unless you've convinced them enough that there's enough interaction that they're real, that's probably not going to help you, right? So I just do it the organic way. I do something interesting. I make friends with people on social, and then people just do it automatically for me. I don't need to have a team of programmers. But if all you have is a team of programmers and you don't have any charisma, then do it that way, right? If you have, you've got to use what you got, right? You've got to use what you got. All right. Now, so if my opinion that if that's true though, that they only want to use signals that are stable long term, then just ask yourself a simple question. What signals are going to stay long term? The signals that are going to stay long term are content, offsite references, on-page clicks. That's it. However the web changes, that's what's going to happen. There's going to be content on a page of video, text, whatever. There's going to be offsite references to it, people talking about it, linking to it, mentioning it. And there's going to be people clicking or accessing resources through voice or whatever. Those are the 3 factors that are going to stay. He just admitted those are the 3 factors they're going to use. Period. That's it, right? He also said that they don't, Danny Sullivan asked some of these questions. So I'm not going to say Danny Sullivan asked, just Danny Sullivan was conversing with Gary Isles and asked him all these questions. He says that internal PageRank structure doesn't matter, and he denies you can do PageRank sculpting. Bullcrap. Martin McDonald, who is an ex-Black Hat SEO from I believe the UK, I'm 90% sure of that, recently did an experiment proving him wrong. That if you do internal PageRank sculpting properly, and basically John Mueller tells you to do this, he just didn't call it PageRank sculpting. He says, make sure your most important pages, whatever your site is about, have the most links. So we know that's the most important pages, and that's what you're about, right? So, although they're exceedingly good at telling us now, because a lot of people, most of the links will point to their FAQ. And remember, they used to rank the FAQ really high, or most of your internal links will point to the About Us page, and they rank your About Us page really high, or most of the internal links will point to your Contact Us page, right? Which could be fine if you're like a local site and you want people to contact you, and you have your name and number there, and how to contact you, and text, so Google could tell us what that was. Then they can say, oh, you're a services site, funnel to the contact page, okay, fine. We'll rank you for whatever your on-page stuff is in your reference say you should be about. Plumbing, we'll rank you for plumbing. Assuming you have enough local factors to tell that you're about plumbing and enough quality rank so that they don't punch you out of the, what was 7-pack, and now it's like a little snack pack, however many small little blips they give you. Now they've removed the Google results there too. They're going to say, screw everyone in the local field. For those of you who rank locally, you know what I'm talking about. They used to have a 7-pack. Sometimes they still have the 7-pack, but now it's the little snack pack, and it doesn't have the Google references anymore. Now, so internal page rank still matters. You can still sculpt it. So it's still important. And it's not sculpting, it's just making proper site design, right? Again, my herbal pills example. If I sell red herbal pills, blue herbal pills, and green herbal pills, I have joshsherbalpills.com. The most links should go to my product so they know that it's a purchase site. It's a sales site. Rank me for lower in the sales funnel because those are the people who are going to buy anyway, and that's how my quality rank is tailored for. I've tailored for a task completion ratio for people to close the deal, to make sales, right? So if you're a blog, though, and you want to be in the no-do, in the middle of the sales funnel, or the knowledge, the top of the sales funnel, or if the sales funnel doesn't even matter, you're not even a sales site, if that metaphor doesn't make sense, I hope that metaphor should make sense to every internet marketer, but if you're a blog, then make sure you're informing them. Make sure they comment positively or don't have any comments at all, and make sure they share it and they like it and they bookmark your site, stuff like that. Those would be positive task completion signals that they could possibly be using. And whether they're using it or not, it's not going to hurt for them to do that. But whether they're directly tracking it, indirectly, it's not going to look good either. If they're just tracking people clicking back, people are not going to be impressed if they go to a blog page that kind of sucks and 0 shares and no comments. Okay, boring, man. They're going to go back, right? So it could be either. I don't know. It could be either. But either way, you're fixing the problem by doing all these things, making sure you're focusing on your task completion ratio based on your different persona. Google calls them personas. Google literally calls them personas. They put videos on this, how to do micro conversions, macro conversions based on your personas. What does your persona want? If he wants to be informed, inform him. If he wants to be informed of them by, make sure you have that right floating sidebar so you can be informed of them by. And it floats with him when he scrolls, right? Or if he wants to buy, make sure he can buy above 500 pixels, 1 second load here, click here, blink, blink, blink. Buy it here, new trial, 50% off, whatever. How you can your sales value propositions, however you can build value so they will buy. So the majority of them who go there will buy and not bounce back to somebody else and buy on Amazon or some bullshit like that. So these stupid large brands keep beating sites because they have a better experience. So how do you beat these large sites that are beating the small guy? You have a better experience, right? Did I mention I drank a couple coffees? Just 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 or something like that. Okay, so anyway. So Gary Ellis also mentioned something very interesting. He said that the crawl rate, based on what he said, this is my interpretation, and I'll tell you what he said. Based on what he said, you can almost come up with an SEO score or a page rank or a complete SEO rank, if you will, how well a site should rank based on your crawl rate. And it's doesn't quite work this way, and I've talked about this with some SEO scientists out there, and they were a little bit skeptical, but hear me out. It should be possible to do some kind of, because he says the crawl rate, the slower it crawls, the worse the site will rank, the more it crawls, the faster it will rank. And this is also borne out by someone who talked with John Mueller, who said that I have a 100,000 page site, and if it's crawled 100,000 times per day, then that's 100% crawl rate, right? That means Google thinks this is a very important site. Only the most important sites get crawled that much, but they also have to be blisteringly fast, right, to handle that much crawl. But that's not mutually exclusive. That's inclusive. Blisteringly fast also means a better quality rank and or a better speed rank if they have that as a separate factor, which many people suspect they do. I mean, they have admitted they do, but they keep saying that as long as your speed is faster than 20 seconds, the speed rank is not going to affect you. Well, they could be lying there, right? I mean, people have done experiments that if you even just improve the speed by like 1 or 2 seconds, your rankings go up. People have done those experiments and shown them. So either they have a direct speed rank that directly checks that, and or it's a factor of they crawl faster, therefore they rank it better, and or it's a factor of you have better quality rank now because it's a faster experience and people are less pissed off, right? But somewhere along the way, it's a better factor. And so he admitted that you should be able to divide, and I've in the last dozen audits I've done or so, I've tested this out, and it seems to bear fruit. Just anecdotally, if you divide your lowest crawl by your highest crawl, your highest crawl by your lowest crawl, you come up with a percentage. And it'll be like 10%, 5%. And that is, out of 100, that's kind of like your SEO score, right? And pages that rank really well, 5% rank kind of okay, maybe 1 or 2 queries on page 1. Sites that have 10% are ranking fairly good, like 3 or 4 queries on page 1. Anything higher than 10%, I've noticed, like 20, 30, 40%, I've noticed that they have like many page 1 rankings. So it kind of bears out. So pay attention to your crawl rate anyway. The slower the crawl, the more strange the crawl, the more quality problems that you're probably having, the more ranking problems you're probably having. Okay, and then finally, here's where Gary Iles spills the beans. He mentions implicitly that quality is about user signals. Danny Sullivan puts his boots to the fire a bit, and so he admits a couple things. He said it's not about on the crawl. It's about, essentially it's about whatever. He didn't say user signals, but what he's talking about are user signals. He says whether or not the terminates the search, that's my terminology, whether his quote, users love it, quote, users love it. If users love it, so if they give positive comments, bookmarks, social shares, Gary Iles mentions specifically likes plus ones or tweets, if they have offsite references, this is the stuff that they're tracking, right? It's not an on-page thing anymore. So again, my Panda list is still relevant because those are the quality factors that users hate, but I don't think and they could be directly tracking those things still. They could have they do have multiple quality algorithms, and so they could be directly tracking it. They could be just directly tracking those factors. They could be directly tracking it and have some user click factors, or they could have all user click factors, but those happen to be the factors that users hate. So they're going to balance anyway, right? So check out my Panda list. And here's another thing. He says, when he's asked about what the on-page quality signals are, the low quality signals are, he says, and I quote, he gets bothered, and quote unquote, and he thinks it's quote unquote obvious what quality is or not. He doesn't answer what the on-page quality factors are. So in my opinion, it has to be user clicks. Either because the only reason why he doesn't tell you is because they can be manipulated, right? So either it's got to be user clicks that can be manipulated, or it can also be comments, and people can spam your site with bad comments and things like that. That used to be, and John Mueller's admitted, that used to be a negative SEO tactic. You have to police those spam comments. So make sure you do that. Okay, now let's skip ahead to the latest hangout John Mueller has had. Not the latest, but the second latest. So August 11th. So I'm tying this all in together about how to fix your Panda, how to fix QualityRank. Basically, not to belabor the point, but basically, so this is what you need to do. You need to check your task completion ratio. You need to make sure your click-through rate is over 50% on every query. You have to make sure by changing your titles and making your titles more enticing, right? You don't know how to do that, contact me, I can help you out. Then you need to make sure that the on-page stuff that you have is going to satisfy that persona and exactly what that persona wants. They want to be informed, they want to buy, they want to be informed and maybe buy. Whatever it is they want a contact page, they want an about us page, they want to phone you, whatever it is they want, it's above the fold, super fast, super easy to see, rightish side, left to right side for left to right readers for any English or Latin speaking nations anyway. Of course, Arabic or Hebrew are going to be different because they read right to left, not left to right. That's basic user psychology, user interface psychology 101. So they can click it under a number of seconds and they don't bounce back and they don't select some other result. that is how you. That's your task completion ratio. People who click to you, who don't go back and who complete the task, and you got to make sure they're completing those tasks. So John Mueller again mentions a couple things that reiterates this. August 11th, around 13 minutes in, John Mueller implies that doing a viral campaign and getting quote unquote tons of links may not be the way to rank anymore. Again, he reiterates that you don't need links anymore. I have a site that's ranking page 1 for numerous queries and very competitive, over 100,000 impressions, some of these, with one link, because it has better other signals. I've been exploiting other signals, right? Because it's safer, it's not risky. The link algorithm has been risky since 2012. Too high risk for me. So again, John Mueller says directly, you don't need to do this. And then you see this experiment from SEO Moz that comes out. It says, links are still correlated with the highest rankings. That means nothing. That's cause correlation fallacy. It's a coincidence. And John Mueller directly said it in this hangout. He said that's just coincidence. He says just because a site uses Google Analytics doesn't mean it's going to rank well. Just because a site uses WordPress doesn't mean it's going to rank well. Although most sites use WordPress, So those are just statistical coincidences. It doesn't mean you can infer anything from that. Especially when some jackass like me has contradictory evidence that then you need to explain that blows up the correlations, right? Then you need to explain, why is this site with only one link ranking so highly? I'm not making this up, right? I'm not selling this site. I'm selling my SEO consultation services. So it doesn't help me at all to lie, because that just gives me a bad reputation, right? So people selling links, they have an impetus to tell you that links still work and you should buy their $2,000 link. By the way, that's the quote I recently got to get links into Forbes or the Huffington Post or to even Moz. Oops, did I leak that out loud? Yes, you can buy links on Moz. Oh, for shame. So anyway, around 16 minutes in, John Mueller admits that the knowledge panel information is based on the query relevance / quality rank, as I said. Then John Mueller admitted that Dory pages for locations with no value on their own is a quality problem. So these pages you're trying to rank, like plumber this area, plumber that area, they can't be duplicated, they can't be cookie cutter. That is a serious quality rank problem. And then finally, John implies, very interestingly, that user metrics, or what he calls user trust, maybe URL searches, maybe your brand click-through rate, that's what I think that's what it refers to, because he's mentioned this before, and that's what he was talking about. Make sure your URL is very small and easy to search and people click on it. This is a difference between whether you're buying a bunch of links and you're not ranking, and if you're buying a bunch of links, you have a bunch of offsite references or social signals, and you are ranking, is whether or not people are proving that you're a valid site by clicking on you, right? And searching for your brand and clicking on you. He's admitted in this hangout. Go watch it, August 11th, closer to the end. He admits that what user trust is the difference, because people kept hammering him, why is it I keep getting links and I'm not ranking? Why do I keep getting these social signals and I'm not ranking? He says the difference is, well, maybe, he says, he waffles, and he says the difference is that do users trust you or not? If you can see that users are trusting you when they search for you, aka if they are searching for joshsfruitemporium.com or they're searching for Josh's Herbal Pills and they click, 50% of them or more click Josh's Herbal Pills, then that's a trust signal that toggles on all these other offsite references and toggles on a bunch of other quality stuff, right? It's a yes or no. So this is why people say this seems to be like a sandbox. So a lot of black hats are going to be angry at me for spilling this secret, but this is a lot of how a lot of these black hats are still doing it. You got to have a high click-through rate on your brand signals, and don't worry about just surging it all of a sudden. Don't bother buying any clicks or incentivizing people to click on any queries but your navigational queries, aka your brand searches, because this is how it's going to toggle on some other factors. That alone, I don't think is going to do very much. It's just going to toggle on and let them trust, because you seem to be a trusted brand, some other factors that they're seeing, right? Okay, so I apologize. that's my SEO hangout for today. That's what happens when an SEO drinks a pot of coffee, studies SEO and then makes a video. So, if you have any SEO questions, please, by all means, contact me. I'd be happy to discuss it with you, help you out, tell you more SEO knowledge. Maybe, who knows, I can do an audit of your site and I can tell you what's going on and get you ranking in 6 months or so, or maybe 18 months, depending on the niche. That's what happens. You can contact me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at joshbachynski, and you can watch more videos like this where I have more SEO experiments, more SEO leaks, more SEO secrets, and great videos where I'm less hyper, probably, at youtube.com/jbachins. That's JBACHYNS. So with that, I bid you adieu, and good luck in the SERPs, and we'll see you next time.